Good morning and welcome to the Little Andaman medium race. Only 8 competitors turned up for this race, mainly due to the fact that the Long Island race, the long race was still ongoing. Anyway, it's as you saw on the map before, it's around the island from one point to the other. Two of them, Disco Infidel and Captain Dukes, decided to go on the west side. I decided to go to the east side. The wind looked better. And I was thinking about circumnavigating it, but in the end I came back on the east side as well. So here we have the beginning of the race. I positioned myself fairly wide out and made a run to the line with about a minute or so left to go. I have the code O up here, and there goes the minute warning. Everybody seems to be doing a pretty good job. Coming on the inside of this guy. He's luffing, so no problem there. And I'm checking my time to go and comparing that to the race time. You can see that I'm doing pretty well. Guy in the cruiser is right next to the line there. And in the distance you can see someone skirting the line. And I'd love to do port on port here, but he goes down my starboard side. Yeah, nothing I can do about that. And I'm first across the line. Anyway, then I went out to have some lunch and have some enjoyment around town, and 2 hours later I came back. And the two guys in front of me, which would be Paul and Checker, were both around about 0.8 of a nautical mile in front of me. So auto helm hadn't worked that well, and my idea here was to get on the inside of them. I wanted to get as close to the island, which meant that I would be closer to the mark, and I was hoping that I could point higher than them and yet still take time off them. And in the end I was able to point higher than them. They were bleeding a little bit more speed for angle, and I even made sure of this by occasionally tacking across and giving myself just that slight bit of angle. It's important to tack early when you have a long course, because this angle, the short angle at the top end, means a larger or smaller decrease at the bottom end, obviously. Because if you tack at the end, you're going to have to be tacking a lot further to make that angle. Probably didn't explain that very well, but I think you get the idea. Anyway, so by this time I'd caught Paul, and I was getting very, very close to Checker in terms of distance to the mark. And once again, you can see me do a little bit more of a tack across, and you can see that I'm going to follow this island as closely as I can, just to bleed time off them. Because when I turn the bottom or the southern end of this island, I want to be in front. Okay, and getting towards the southern end here now, and you can see that I have in fact overtaken, or got pretty close to overtaking both of these guys. My position is much better than them, even though Checker is far to the right there. Yes, and you can see that I have actually overtaken them. Just because of small adjustments to my angle at the top end of this run, not run, sorry, I mean in terms of my direction, I've made up time on them. Chris has gone fairly wide there. He's looking for a uh, fast passage and then turning across, but obviously that's going to require a much longer amount of time, I believe. Can work in the longer races, in the short ones and medium ones, not so much unless you have really favorable conditions. And now that I'm at the bottom here, what I want to do is I want to come as south as possible. I want to use the advantage of being south so that my wind angle to the mark is much better again. And you'll see that Chris does actually catch for a little bit, and you'll notice that Captain Dukes there is starting to come pretty close. He's just turned the west side of the island, and he would be on a Kodo, I imagine, on the way down. He caught, or he gained probably about 2 or 3 nautical miles, but still not enough. And me going around the first mark here, obviously all sped up. And I'll be taking down this jib in a moment and bringing up the Jenica, which I use for the rest of the race. I was hoping to get the Kodo on, which I did do to test it, but I just couldn't get the angle right. And the Jenica seemed to work better at about 120 degrees. And you can see that Paul here, who has taken, or who has gone past Checker at this point, is still heading towards that mark. He's around about 0.5, 0.6 behind me, and next cut up to around the island, and I'm once again trying to go a little bit easterly here. My thinking at this time was I wanted to get that Kodo on if I could, if I went east enough with the wind as it was facing. As I said before, never able to really do that though. And Paul kept on chasing me. He did get close, up to 0.3 at one stage, but in the end I had to up my game and reef and unreef and really find some good air. And by the end of the race, I'd established a 0.6, 0.7, 0.8 nautical mile lead over him again. And then a little gratuitous shot of sunset. This race would finish in the dark, and in the gloom at the back there, probably can't see him, but I could see Paul at this point in time. Just doing some adjustments while I'm up here. And back to the sunset. Behind Paul there was Captain Dukes. Stormboy was still in the race at this point, and Checker, who had checked out, he'd gone to sleep, I think even before the first mark. I don't know what the story was, but he lost an enormous amount of time with the auto helm. It might have been because he hadn't set his sails to change, But if he was on the Jenica, then it was quite incredibly strange that he would go from third to you know a long way behind by the end of the race. During this part of the race, Stormboy and I were talking quite a bit. We had a nice chat about tactics, and yeah, these races are really good to meet new people and to share ideas. And the last shot of this race will be me coming across the line in the dark and the gloom. And here we are here. And after 8 hours 55 minutes and around 47 seconds, the race is over. A long, hard-fought battle. And the next shot is of Paul coming across the line. Is he coming? Yeah, pretty hard to see in the gloom, but the little red there is of his sail. You have to be incredibly close to see the nav lights. Wish that was fixed a little bit, but there's other things that are much more important to fix at this moment in time. And so we go to the end of the leaderboard at the end of the race, and we will see that yep, I'm first again. Paul is second. Captain Dukes, who came around the west side and then back to the east side, third, and Checker fourth. So he lost 2 hours. I would say almost 2 hours doing that. And Stormboy DNF, I'm not sure he logged out, but he was running the race when I left the race. Anyway, thank you very much and have a great day.